Today, I'm going to showcase to you guys how you can utilize your crypto assets to build your own DeFi portfolio that consistently generates a passive income. And this is all made possible through a 5-step copy and paste system. And when I say copy and paste, it's not quite literally Control C, Control V, but more of it's a 5-step system that consistently works as long as you implement it right. So there's 5 different phases to this copy and paste system. Number 1 is discover. And this is where you learn more about your risk tolerance as well as your investor profile and what assets you want to include in your portfolio. You use that information and you bring it into phase 2, which is strategize. And you use those assets and you use that investor profile and that risk tolerance to actually find strategies tailored to your own personality. Ones that you want to be in for whether it's 7 days or 14 days. Ones that have maybe a 60% APR or a 200% APR. All of that stuff is tailored to you. Phase 3 is deploy. This is where you actually determine how much to allocate to each individual strategy and you actually invest into the different strategies that you chose. And you might end up brainstorming 10 to 15 different strategies in phase 2, but only actually end up deploying it into 5 different strategies. And the reason why is because it's important to be diversified, but also not over diversified. And at the same exact time, you only want to invest into strategies that make sense. Phase 4 is the manage phase. This is when you determine when to rebalance your portfolio, when to rebalance individual positions, when you need to select new ranges for concentrated liquidity pools, maybe borrow more against your staked assets or repay some of that borrow. Whatever it may be, you're doing this in phase 4. Additionally, you should be focusing on trying to automate your positions in phase 4, as well as tracking key performance indicators for your portfolio. So that way you can determine if your portfolio is actually doing good or if it's doing bad. And then phase 5 is the optimization phase. And this is the phase where you have kind of been deployed for about hopefully 2 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter. And you actually go in and you implement optimizations. You know, maybe you're doing a 55% APR. You want to get it to 60% APR. You implement optimizations, whether it be a completely new position or just adjusting ranges on a position or rebalancing the portfolio to get yourself to that 60% APR. Additionally, you should be setting reasonable long-term goals. So if your goal is to make $10,000 a month in passive income and you're currently making $5,000 a month, maybe a long-term goal is to see asset appreciation, obviously make more money since your assets are at a higher value, and additionally start compounding your $5,000 a month to build up your overall portfolio size. That way you can start to make $10,000 a month later on in the future. And then after phase 5, you're just constantly repeating phases 4 and 5, managing and optimizing, managing and optimizing. Occasionally you will have to go back to maybe phase 2 where you go and you find new strategies for those assets, or even phase 1 where you go and you rebalance your entire portfolio. But the point is, if you follow a system like this and you have a plan in place to get yourself to that passive income goal or get yourself to that goal of yours, you're ultimately going to be able to succeed. But if you don't have a goal in place and you don't have a system in place and you're just kind of doing everything off the top of your head, you're not going to end up getting to whatever amount of money you want to make, because it's not organized, it's not systematic. Now with that being said, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into how you can actually implement this system into your portfolio, but first I want to show you exactly what this system has done for some clients of mine. First things first, we have Mitchell right here, which is running 3 different pools: wrapped Bitcoin to USDC, wrapped ETH to USDC, and linked to USDC. As you can see, he made roughly $500 yesterday, and he's doing about a 220% APR on his overall portfolio. We have Scott, which is using liquidity pools to fund development of his own home, and he's actually building that home himself, which is pretty cool, but he's making roughly $100 per day from this singular pool, and he has maybe 10 or so other pools that he's running at the same exact time. I have myself, and I was making roughly $130 per day from this Matic to Ethereum pool, and came out to an overall profit of $3,000 after the time span of just 5 days. We have Alex, which invested into an Ethereum to Solana pool, which made $11,000 after just 2 weeks, with $3,000 of that just being from fees alone. And I could go on and on and on down this list and just consistently show you more results, but the point here is this system works because it's been tried and proven. And with that being said, there is an opportunity for you to work directly with myself to actually implement this system into your portfolio, and that's what we call the DeFi Accelerator program. We're essentially here to help you fast track financial freedom, achieve next level earnings, and accelerate your passive income goals. We provide you with comprehensive education, access to our exclusive investor network with a total net worth of over $10 million, access to our personalized resources made directly for you, as well as all of our other institutional grade resources that you can copy and paste. And of course, the best part is actually being able to get in one-on-one calls with somebody like myself that has been there and done that has the results to prove. And we actually just started doing group calls in our private group, so that's another benefit for you. And if you guys do want to learn more about that opportunity, I'm going to leave a link down below in the description for Builder Wealth to check it out. So getting back into it, week 1, you need to determine how much money you want to make, what type of risk tolerance you have, whether it's low, medium, high, and if that's achievable with your risk tolerance. There's tons of different risk. I'm not going to expose all of our resources or all of our strategies, But the next thing you're going to do in week 1 is actually find assets. And the way I like to do that is look at CoinMarketCap. And at the start, I really like to target assets that aren't make it or break it. And that basically just means somewhat blue chip assets, whether it's Link, whether it's Sol, whether it's Matic, just other assets that have performed well over previous markets. The reason why is because the success rate in these assets is a lot higher than if you go into something that has the potential to go either 100x or go down 100%. So let's just say I look through this list, I find Ethereum, I find Polygon, I find Solana, I find Link. I'm going to just be writing down all these assets to help kind of formulate my portfolio. And the next thing you'll do is head to their CoinMarketCap page. You can look at their about section. For popular assets, they're going to have a large about section. I recommend reading through this, and if you like what you see, go ahead and head over to their website and learn more about them, learn more about what they're building, and so on and so forth. And in my opinion, I'm a big supporter of Matic, so I'm just going to put a check mark on Matic, essentially saying I want to include this in my portfolio. I'll do some basic due diligence on it to see if it's something that I want to include. I'll measure some key performance indicators, like determining how Matic has performed over its lifetime, how much it could perform over the next bull market, how much return I would get if it went to its previous all-time high, and so on and so forth. Also analyzing the inflation rate of it and other technical aspects. We can also do that over on Token Terminal. We can simply pull up Polygon Matic. Over here, we can see in the past 30 days, Matic has made roughly $830,000. Annualized, that's roughly $10 million, which would be pretty nice. And you can also look at different charts like the market cap of Matic, the fees that they're making, the revenue, their expenses, and their earnings, and every single other aspect of Matic over on Token Terminal. And this is more on the technical side of things. Additionally, you're going to see some more information about what Polygon actually is. So now that I know that I want to include an asset like Polygon as well as Ethereum in my portfolio, we can head over to a site like, let's just say DeFi Llama, and start exploring strategies with those assets. So I might head over here to yields, and then when I get on the yields page, I'm simply going to select Ethereum and Matic. So at the top, type in Ethereum. Over here, we'll also type in Matic, and this is going to find us strategies that include Ethereum and include Matic. We can also go and select different categories like staking, lending, derivatives, as well as concentrated liquidity pools, all that cool stuff. So if we want, we can stake Ethereum for 4%, or we could stake it for 3.5%. Going down, we could stake Matic for roughly 4.5%, but there's also a lot of liquidity pools as well. So assuming I want to create like a liquidity pool between these two, I might go over to something like Project, just simply clear all this and type in Uniswap V3. And then I could look specifically at Uniswap V3 positions. So right here we have WBTC paired with Ethereum, USDC paired with Ethereum, and so on and so forth. It's going to show us some basic returns. We can sort that by APY. As you can see, pairing Grok, which is some random asset, with Ethereum gets us this 3,200% return. Most likely, though, this is not accurate. And the reason why is because it's a new pool with a very high volume at the start, and it might end up declining over time. And I don't want to look for super low TVL stuff because ultimately I'm a pretty low risk person. So I might do a minimum of $5 million in TVL, and that's going to show me more blue chip stuff. So we can go and look at, let's just say Matic to Ethereum on Uniswap V3 on the Ethereum chain. We could also look at Matic to Ethereum on Uniswap V3 on the Polygon chain. So we'll pull up Builder Metrics. We'll go over to the Ethereum network. We'll do Ethereum. We'll do Matic. And then it's showing that we do it on the 0.3% fee tier. So let's do that. As you can see, that's where the majority of the liquidity is. Simply hit calculate. Now, if I personally think Matic's going to perform very well over the next bull market, and it's going to perform better than Ethereum, I want to allow room for that when I'm adjusting my range on this concentrated liquidity pool. So I might bring my max price to something like $2,750, but bring my min price to something like, let's just say, $1,300. And as you can see, that's doing roughly a 32% APR. And I'm pretty happy with that because that gives me a lot of exposure to Matic and a lot of exposure for Matic to outperform Ethereum. Whereas if I'm just more bullish on Ethereum, I might do something like this where I have a high max price and a somewhat high min price. So essentially the current price is closer to that min price. I want to analyze the volume consistency, the TVL history, and stuff like that. Now, as I mentioned, there's this 0.3% one on Ethereum. There's also a 0.3% one on Polygon. So let's go ahead and check the Polygon one out as well and just side by side compare them. So we'll select Ethereum, we'll select Matic, and then pull it up in the 0.3% fee tier. And I'll just copy and paste my range. It was like 1855 to something like 33.84. And if we look at this, we're getting roughly 33% on the Polygon network, and we're getting roughly 40% on the Ethereum network. Now, if I'm going in with something like $30,000, well, ultimately Ethereum network's probably going to be better because it is roughly 10% higher, or I should say maybe 7%. But the thing is, if I'm going in with maybe 10,000, it's probably more beneficial to be over on the Polygon network, just because the Polygon network fees or gas fees are roughly 1 to 2 cents. Whereas if you go on the Ethereum network, they could be upwards near $50 per transaction. So ultimately, you have to factor that in. Next off is actually deploying capital. So maybe we select 10 to 15 different positions, and all of them have exposure to Ethereum, then it's probably not good to have an Ethereum to USDC pool, because we already have a ton of exposure to Ethereum. So I'll go ahead and select which ones I want to actually deploy into, and I'll go ahead and back test it to see, okay, if this one's performing 35%, this one's 50%, and I have $10,000 in that one and $15,000 in that one, here's how much I'm going to make per year. You want to analyze it from a numeric perspective, where essentially you're analyzing how much money they're going to make you on the low end and on the high end. And assuming all looks good, you'll simply head over to Uniswap or whatever platform the strategy is on and actually deploy into that strategy and get invested. That way you can start earning a passive income. And then the next step is actually creating yourself some form of tracking system. As you can see, this is going to show me all of my exited positions. It's going to show me all the details about my current positions and so on and so forth. As you can see, my portfolio is currently doing a 110% annualized yield, which is absolutely nuts. I'm super happy to be getting that return. You also want to determine how active you want to be. So if you want to be rebalancing every day, then you need to have tighter ranges, be active every single day for about an hour. Whereas if you want to be rebalancing every single week, build it in a way where you're rebalancing every week, but you're only active for about an hour a week as well. And then so on and so forth. If you want to rebalance every month, or you want to manage it, every half year or whatever it may be, you can completely tailor this to yourself. You just have to pick and choose which strategies are going to work best for you. And always look at historical data. Like if we look at DeFi Llama, we look at this Matic to Ethereum position on DeFi Llama, it's going to show us historical data on the APY. You can see this APY is consistently high, and just recently it spiked up a ton, but at the same time it has some form of consistency in there. And then you optimize. You simply go in and you determine, okay, I'm doing a 55% return. Maybe if I spend an additional hour per week and maybe rebalance my pools every half week, I can, have tighter ranges and get a higher return. If you're getting, say, 50% and you want to get, let's just say 100%, you're going to have to be active probably every day to make that optimization. Whereas if you're getting, let's just say 50%, you want to get 75%, you just tighten up your range a little bit or replace it with a better position or something along those lines, and you actually get that type of return. And it's all about actually getting invested and determining which ones are performing well, which ones are performing bad. And I will say a lot of it comes with experience. And additionally, you're going to have winners and you're also going to have losers. But what is important is that you learn from both of them, not just the losers. But what I will say, the losers are the ones that are going to teach you the most valuable lessons. And that's exactly why we offer a one-on-one coaching program. That way you can learn from our mistakes and our experience so you don't have to go out and lose money yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like and subscribe when notifications turned on. And I do want to mention, last of all, if the one-on-one coaching isn't for you, we do have a $30 mini course for Uniswap V3, link down below in the description. I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe when notifications turned on. Peace out.